Hey. 2 regulars? Oh, this is a disappointing turnout. Where is everybody? You got any more cookies? Good pre-workout. I like it. Hey guys.
Great friend.
All right. 2's a crowd. 3's a crowd. That's all right. Better than nothing. How's everyone?
Good.
Is there someone in that stormtrooper?
Oh, I didn't know you put it there. No, it's pure helium.
Okay. I swear I saw it move, so I was like, whoa, what's happening?
Yeah, he's joining. He has a bit of back problem.
Oh, yeah. That's all right. We'll fix you. No worries, mate. All right, guys.
Right, go.
Cool. So today we're going to be targeting the hips, in particular the sort of front of the hips. Today what we're going to need is just a ball. Do all of you guys sort of have access to a ball? Otherwise, foam roller will also work. Small foam roller. Otherwise, ball's probably going to be a bit more aggressive today. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be sort of releasing this part of the front of the hip. So this is sort of where our hip flexor lies. Hip flexor sort of, if you think about like the front bone here, it actually crosses all the way down to the front of our kneecap. So what can happen is we think about we're sort of sitting down all day. What's happening is that muscle is getting short, it's getting tight, it's probably getting weak as well because we're sort of sitting in that same sort of position. But what also can happen is that because it's short, what it does is actually pulls on your pelvis and actually makes your pelvis rotate this way. And if you see what happened to my back just then, that arch in my back actually increased when my hip flexor is tight. So over a long time, if that hip flexor is tight, it's going to shift your pelvis in this position. It's going to start irritating those low back joints. So what we're going to do first is just going to do a quick test. So going to get everyone to stand up. And we're just going to go down into a squat, noticing sort of what you're feeling. If you're feeling sort of pinching, tightness in that front of the hips, or if you're even feeling a little bit of low back pain, sort of notice how that feels at the moment. And then at the end, once we've done a bit of release work, strengthening, activation, sort of let's have a feel again of how that sort of feels. So, all right, to start, what we're going to do is we're going to just spend 2 minutes releasing both hip flexors. So where I want you to place the ball. So we're going to come down onto our hips here. You're going to feel 2 quite prominent bones. Just going to slip your hand slightly down, and you should feel like a bit of a meaty part here. You can tell that you're actually on the hip flexors if you then sort of put your leg up. If you try and think about lifting your leg up, you'll feel that tendon actually contract underneath your finger. So even in this position, I'm thinking about lifting my leg up and I really feel this tendon activate. That's exactly where you want to put the ball. So then you're going to get that ball, pop it there, lie onto your tummy. And from here, we're just going to go sort of up and down, feeling for areas of discomfort, just staying on that tendon. Once you sort of find an uncomfortable spot, you can start to lift your leg up off the ground, just lifting that knee up off the ground, rolling around. Might feel a bit uncomfortable, especially if it's pretty sore from sitting down. But we're just going to hang out here for about 1-2 minutes. Start playing around with lifting that knee up off the ground. So bending that knee, but then also thinking about lifting that knee off the ground. That's really going to hit that hip flexor. Again, sort of working your way down if it feels a little bit tighter down or more inside towards more the groin area. Might sort of feel a little bit of a shift. If you go side to side, you might actually feel the ball flicking over that tendon if it's quite active. Yeah, I can see the face. You've got it there. You're just breathing through it, guys. Spend a couple more seconds on here. The cookie didn't help. Nice. Good. All right, guys, let's swap hips. The same sort of thing. Finding that bone, just flicking down to that meaty part. You can test it again. If you try and lift your leg up, you should feel that tendon really activate underneath your fingers. Again, popping that ball there, going onto your stomach. Again, just sort of, oh, this one's definitely a lot tighter. I can feel that one. Oh. All right. Again, just sort of rolling it out first, breathing on top of it, and then trying to lift that. Oh, trying to lift that leg up.
Oh.
Yeah. So notice again, you might sort of feel one side's more or less uncomfortable than the other side. That's completely normal. We're generally quite asymmetric human beings. Just breathing through that, guys. On the exhale, just relaxing into it. And lifting that knee up if you can. Good. All right, coming up next. So that's hip flexor. So we've released the hip flexors. Well, what we're also going to release is what we call the TFL. So there's this other muscle that runs sort of a little bit more on the outside. It does function to also lift our leg up, but it also functions to bring our leg out to the side. This is that muscle that you probably would have, maybe some of you have heard of the ITB band. There's a big thick piece of connective tissue that runs down the outside of our leg. This muscle actually inserts into that band. So it can commonly get quite tight as well. So how to find this one? You're gonna again come to the top of your hip bone, but this time instead of going straight down, we're sort of gonna go more out to the side. There's a bit of sort of meaty part there. Just on the outside of your hip, you're going to place the ball there. And this time we're sort of going a little bit more of an angle. So not completely on the side. So just a little bit more of an angle. And that one. Sorry guys, give me one sec. Just try and release that for about 2 minutes. Hey. I'm not too sure. Yeah, I'm in the middle of the class, sorry.
Do you have like one of the managers who would know?
Yeah. Sorry guys, the grand old detective just came and asked me a question. I thought they're going to take me away. All right. So just hang out there for another 30 more seconds and then we're going to swap legs. How's this one feeling?
Juicy.
Not good. Yeah, the hips tend to get quite tender.
Yeah.
It'll feel better at the end, I promise. All right, let's get that ball on the other side now. Good, getting onto the other side. So finding that burn and slightly just coming off to the opposite, to the outside of it.
So you go where your hip bone is, and then you go around to the outside for a flash.
Oh, whose idea was this?
Oh.
Just breathing into it, guys. Rolling around as well, not staying in one position too long. Finding different areas, just in that sort of same area. Good. All right. So that's the release work done. We can get rid of our ball now. Get rid of that torture device. We don't need that anymore. All right, what we're going to do now is we're going to do the first activation drill. So what we're going to be activating first is actually our glutes, because if you think about it, these glutes, when we activate them, they actually function to tip our pelvis back into sort of more neutral alignment. So if those hip flexors are tight, like we said, it's going to be arching our low back too much. What we want to do to get them less sort of shortened and get them into a better position where we then can activate, we need to get those glutes working. So what we're just going to do is a simple drill where we do some glute bridges. So lying down, feet flat on the ground. Don't want them sort of too far out in front, because the further you have them out in front, the actual more hamstring engagement you'll get, which is not bad, but we really want to focus on the glutes today. So trying to have the feet in a little bit closer than normal. From here, what you're going to think about is actually driving straight through the ground and squeezing your butt on the way up. Really trying to feel that tension in your bottom. Slowly down and drive up again. So we're going to do 8 reps of that. Making sure you keep that tension all the way. As you're coming down, I don't want you to feel like you lose tension in your glutes and then your back starts to arch. Keep your pelvis tucked in, down and up, squeezing those glutes. And if you've got really tight hip flexors, you might actually feel your hip flexors stretching on this one as well. So 8 reps, and we're going to do 3 sets of those. So once you've done 8, just have a bit of a rest. So the bum might be getting fired up now. Really squeezing, holding at the top. Try and hold for about 2-3 seconds. And once you've done 8, have a bit of a rest. We'll rest maybe about 20-30 seconds, and we'll do that again. All right, back down. Let's do another 8. What's that?
Well, so I was just going to say, I always feel glute bridges a bit in my knee, like it's pulling. Does that mean I'm not activating my core enough?
So
I agree.
You feel it as well?
Yeah.
Notice it more if you're...
The position of my knees, like if it's too close, too far.
If you do it with your legs further out, does it still hurt? So give it another go. Just do it a bit further out.
No.
Doesn't hurt.
No.
It could just be that your knee's not used to being in that sort of range. So then for you guys, I suggest going to a comfortable position, as in not trying to bring your knee up too far.
Okay.
It sort of seems, if it's more about how far you're able to bend your knee, doesn't sort of seem muscular. It more so seems to do with the joint and just being able to get into that range. Did it hurt when you were squatting before?
No.
It didn't hurt
For some
when you were
reason,
squatting.
so I figure it's just, yeah, like you said, putting my knees too close to my,
Yeah,
like through there.
yeah. All right, so then for you guys, did it hurt for you as well, Fran? When you brought your knees out, was it less painful?
Less.
Less, yeah. So for you guys, probably just try and keep your legs out a little bit further.
Cool.
Okay, but still trying to get that, really trying to drive through your foot and squeezing the butt on the way up. All right, guys, let's do another 8. Good squeeze at the top. Slowly down. Making sure that pelvis sort of stays in the same position the whole movement up and down. No arching of the back. Really squeezing at the top. Good. Again, once you've done 8, we'll have a bit of a rest. Nice, guys. All right, guys, let's do another 8. Finish up. One more set of 8.
Oh,
We're going again, guys. One more set of 8. Good. Nice, slow and controlled. And once you've done your 8, sitting up. So probably feel like your glutes are working a little bit harder now. And now what we're going to do once that we've sort of got our glutes working a bit better, that pelvis is probably in a better position. So what we need to do now is actually activate the hip flexors. So you're going to need to get onto like a sort of chair if you have one around. So I'll let you guys go get a chair. Even the couch works as well, I guess. Yep. Well, the ball's going to be a lot harder, but you're up for the challenge. So what we're going to do here, so now that we've got those glutes working, we've got that back in a better position. So the important thing here, guys, is so first, before we even start, I want you to feel what it feels like to overarch. So what I'm going to get you to do is try and roll your bottom forward and feel that sort of excessive arch. And then you're going to come back, bringing your bottom more in contact with the seat, all the way sort of back. So when you're setting up for this, I don't want you to be set up in this arch position. I need you to bring yourself back, tuck that pelvis under. In this position, you're going to hold. So you're holding this position. And then from here, you're going to just try and lift your left leg up as far as you can. Once you feel like your back starts to arch and you come forward to that first position where I got you to do before, that means you lost control. It means that you're going sort of too high. So the movement is, you only go as high as you can maintain control, okay? So again, so over excessively arching first and then coming back to tuck in. Now you know you're sort of in a good neutral position. From here, you can feel that naturally your core will be on to keep that pelvis tucked under. Just gonna gently lift up your left leg and then lift up your right leg. So this is not about fast movement, guys. It's about slow and control. It is definitely quite a difficult exercise if you're doing it sort of slow, controlled, and not letting your pelvis move every time you lift up that leg. So we're going to try and do 8 reps on each side, but it's 8 reps for quality. So if you feel like at the 6th or 7th rep you're losing control, just stop, have a rest. And when I mean losing control, I mean that back starts to arch, or every time you go and lift up your leg, you feel like the whole sort of pelvis rolls around. Everything should stay still once you've locked in that tilt. Good. So do 8, and then we're going to have a rest. The ball's got the added challenge of the instability. Good control, guys. So just 8 reps on each side, and then have a rest. Where's everyone feeling that? That's very elegant. Yeah. So you're feeling it in your glute.
Yeah.
So when you're feeling it on the top.
Yeah, like in here.
Yeah, so you should sort of be feeling it there. If you're feeling it too much behind, I want you to more think about really trying to tuck that pelvis and holding it. So once you get into that rotation of the pelvis, that should stay there for the whole sort of movement. And what could be happening is that maybe don't go as high, because every time you sort of try and go higher, naturally that's going to want to pull your hamstring a little bit more. So just go, once you locked in, keep that all nice and still. Don't let anything move, and just slowly go up. So as you see, I'm not going very high at all, but I'm definitely feeling it sort of through the front of my hip.
Yep.
Okay, let's do another 8 on each side, guys. So nice, slow and control. Make sure you set the movement first. Lock that pelvis under. Nothing else moves except for the legs for the whole 8 reps. Nice, guys. tricky drill.
Oh. Ready to go, Liz?
Nice. Good. Bit of a rest.
What about you?
Okay, so now we're gonna sit back on the ground. So that was the activation drill now. So what we've done is we loosened the hips up, we then went to activate the glutes, and then we activated the hip flexors. And now, as always, you know that we need to strengthen so that those hip flexors stay strong in that new sort of range we got. So this is an exercise that the gymnasts use, and it's very, very difficult. There are different sort of ways to sort of do it. So at first, what we want to do, sort of sitting in this long sitting position, where we start is sort of with our hands at the back. From here, you're just going to try and lift your leg off the ground.
Ew.
If this is too easy for you, bring your hands in closer. If you can do it with your hands all the way down there, I'll give you props. You're a machine. So basically, every time you bring your hands a little closer, you're closing down on that hip a little bit more. You're making it harder for that hip flexor to actually contract. So start here. Let's do 8 on each side, trying to lift it as high as we can. We'll do the first set of 8 out here, and then we'll sort of progressively go. If you feel like out here is already challenging enough, you'll stay here for the whole 3 sets. You definitely should be sort of feeling this one all the way down the leg. This is a very good drill to strengthen those hip flexors.
Yeah. Once again, though, there's no should be. So draw pelvis.
Good. So 8 on each side, and then have a bit of a rest.
So,
How's that one feeling for you guys?
yeah,
Feeling it.
definitely feeling it.
Definitely feeling it, yeah. So if it felt a bit easy on the next set, I'm going to challenge you to bring your hands in a little bit more forward. If that already felt hard, just stay at the same sort of spot. But this is something that I think with this time in isolation, it's something that a lot of people sort of neglect. Like if you usually sort of do squats and things like that, this is a very good drill to actually get you a very, very big back squat. So like using the time to sort of strengthen those small muscles that we tend to neglect all the time when we're doing other sort of activities, even though they hurt. That there's a reason why these exercises hurt, because they're very, very difficult. All right, let's do another set of 8, bringing our hands in closer if we can. Otherwise, it's perfectly fine to stay back there until you feel more confident sort of bringing your body forward.
Stop.
Nice, guys.
It was so easy, and then.
Good. Shake it out. We're going to do one more set. And again, if that one felt too easy, challenge you to go a little bit further. Well, let's have another 30 seconds rest first. So Fran's going to attempt to go all the way down to her ankles. All right, guys, let's go again.
We did it. No.
Hard work, hey?
Yeah.
All right, that's it for the strengthening. Now just get up, have a bit of a walk around. Oh, I think mine cramped in the last one. All right, and then now sort of just go down into your squat again. Notice what you sort of feel.
Oh, wow. Loose.
So much.
If you sort of previously felt pinching through the front of here, it should just feel very, like when you're squatting now, it should just feel like you almost want to sort of drop down to the bottom, because that sort of front of the hip is now more open. So when you're squatting, your head of the femur, so your thigh bone actually has more room to sort of rotate forward. So it might feel a little bit easier to sort of just go down. So these drills are really good ones to sort of keep doing, maybe like 2 times a week, in particular for the hips. Get those hips nice and strong, and I guarantee that when you go back to the gym after all of this, or going back to any sort of activity you guys do after all of this, you'll feel much stronger in that sort of front of the hips, and that's also going to be very good for low back pain prevention. Any questions?
Awesome.
No, all good. Thanks for joining today, guys.
Thanks, Tamika. That was magic.
Yeah, cheers, Tamika.
No
Awesome.
worries. All right, see you guys next week. Later.